What's up guys, my name is Ace, and we have yet another game-breaking bug in Modern Warfare 2. This one at least is just relegated to a specific mode, unlike the UAV bug, which applies to, as far as I can tell, all multiplayer. But with this bug we're going to be talking about today, it's actually been around since the launch of Season 4 in the Battle Map Search and Destroy playlist, which is that brand new mode where they take a section of the battle maps and they make it a 12v12 Search and Destroy format. Which honestly I was pretty skeptical about. I didn't like the sounds of that too much, but now that I've hopped on and played it, I actually think it works out quite well, and it's a very interesting game mode, aside from the fact that it's so broken right now that it's practically unplayable. I happened to get really lucky in some of the gameplay you're watching in the background. I don't think any of the enemies were exploiting this bug. However, I did have multiple teammates exploiting this, and this can lead to massive amounts of XP as well as infinite score streaks in a game. And that's obviously a really big game-breaking issue for this mode. Now, like I said, this has actually been around since the launch of Season 4, and I was going to make a video about it, but by the time I got to that, this mode was out of rotation, and therefore I thought by the time they bring this style of mode back, they'll probably get this fixed, especially because it directly affects how much XP you can earn in a match, and you're basically getting free XP, free weapon XP. And generally speaking, when there's bugs like that that directly impact the progression, they typically get on top of those ones faster than most other bugs, because that can potentially have an impact on long-term player progression if people are blasting through all their weapon levels, for instance, without actually having to play the game. So I was quite surprised to see yesterday when they brought the Battle Map Search and Destroy back, this bug was still present. Apparently it was also present when they had Battle Map Prisoner Rescue, but I didn't bother looking into that at all. I didn't hear anything about it, but Battle Map Search and Destroy is back, and this bug was not fixed when they brought this mode back. And I'd honestly like to give this mode a proper shot without constant score streaks and smoke drones in the air. So let's get into what this bug or exploit is specifically. And in its simplest form, the overclock perk is broken. It's completely broken on here. If you're using overclock with 2 field upgrades, you get infinite field upgrades if you let both of those field upgrades charge once you have overclock unlocked. So the first 2 or 3 rounds at least are usually pretty good with this. Most people won't have their overclock by then, and you can actually play this mode normally. It's once you start hitting that 3rd to 4th round where everything just falls apart. Because with infinite field upgrades, there's methods of getting infinite score and infinite XP by simply calling in your field upgrades. Now, just to show it off, I use 2 harmless field upgrades that won't affect anybody else in the game here, just to show that this is still working, it is still present, because I'm personally not a fan of ruining anybody else's experience by exploiting glitches or bugs. But as you can see here, I have infinite trophy systems, they immediately recharge, and that's a clear issue. I'm sure a lot of you guys will probably fill in the blanks if you don't know how to take this further. But with this, you can essentially just sit at the back of the map, call your field upgrades in over and over and over again. Those can get you score, those can get you weapon XP as well as player XP, and it really just ruins the mode because there's often smoke airdrops everywhere, and there's high-end score streaks just about every single round after that 3rd or 4th round that you play. So I thought it was finally time to make a video on this. I know many of you guys will have been aware of this quite some time ago, but I'd love to see them fix this because I'd actually like to get a little bit more into this mode. I hopped in just to record this footage, and I actually found myself having a blast with it for the first few rounds. And I could totally see myself playing more of this mode if they end up fixing this bug. At the very least, it would be great if they had the functionality to just disable the overclock perk temporarily till they get a fix out, and that way this mode would be working just fine until they get on top of that bug. But I'm not too sure if they have the functionality in the game itself to just disable a perk like that. I have seen a lot of people calling for them to disable certain field upgrades that you can exploit the most, but I still think that would end up being a problem if overclock is present and this bug is still present, because then you could still get infinite whatever other field upgrades that you wanted, and obviously you could exploit that in other ways that could ruin the gameplay experience. So it would be great if they could just turn off that overclock perk for the time being until they get a patch out for this, but I kind of doubt that's going to be the case. I think the best realistic case scenario here is with the Season 4 Reloaded update that we're expecting to get next week. Hopefully with that update, since it will be a title update, they will not only fix this exploit, but hopefully they'll also finally fix the UAV bug, if they're even aware that UAV bug exists. They still haven't even acknowledged that bug at this stage, so for all we know, they don't even know it exists at this point, which is obviously very frustrating. Again, at the end of the day, communication could really go a long way when it comes to issues like this. I understand some bugs are easier to fix than others, some can be handled with a simple hotfix, others require a title update, some are also more difficult to track down. I totally get that. But at least let us know that you're aware that these issues are present and that you are actively working on them. because right now it's just really frustrating being kept in the dark here. So there we go. I just wanted to make sure I was bringing some more attention to this, perhaps make the devs aware of it if they somehow aren't already aware of this. Because I honestly do want to try this mode out and play it in all its glory without this game-breaking exploit. And with that will wrap it up for today's video, but I am curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below. With this exploit aside, for anybody that's tried out this battle map search and destroy, which takes place on sections of the battle maps, what are your thoughts on this mode so far? Do you guys enjoy this? Do you not like it so much? Or do you just not have any interest whatsoever? When it comes to my thoughts, like I said, it was actually more interesting than I thought it would be. And on one hand, I really like the idea of it, but then on the other hand, there is that feeling that I get that they're really spreading themselves thin and spreading the content really thin too. Like, why put this extra effort into making these smaller versions of the battle maps if it's literally only going to be playable for one game mode, when ideally you'd want to make that available for more game modes rather than investing all that time and effort and resources into literally one game mode that the vast majority of players will never even try. So yeah, kind of mixed thoughts on my end, but I'd love to hear what you guys think about that down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.